For this podcast, I asked John Sessions a few questions. He ended up telling me his great story of what it was like to be a cameraman.
Over my working career, I've probably had three different careers going. So the first career, when I left school, university, I was an electronic engineer, and which I worked for the BBC. And then from there, I transferred into the camera department, where I was a film and television cameraman for, well, right up until last year, really, when I decided to quit. But also on the way that the career worked, once I was freelance and was doing my own working for myself, I also was a qualified electrician, and I used to. So, for instance, I would go away on a documentary. I could be away for a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and it's very. And you could be in the middle of a jungle. You could be in the Amazon. You could be in the desert. You could be at a war. You could be all sorts of things. So it was very physically and mentally taxing. So when I came back, you don't work normal hours, you just work, right? So you could be working 100 hours a week, it's 7 days a week, you just go until the job's done. So I would come back and I would be exhausted, but I would recover physically pretty quickly. So 2 or 3 days, certainly after a week I would be, but mentally, it took me it really takes it out of you. So rather than take long periods off between jobs, we needed the money, so I would go and do electrical work, which was not so physically demanding, certainly not mentally demanding. I could work relatively short hours. So I kind of worked it like that. Luckily for me, my wife Nicola, she was also in the film industry, so she understood, because it can be crazy. You could, for instance, it could be a Friday night or it could be a Saturday, and you could have arranged a dinner party with friends 3 weeks ago, and I'm working, and it says that I'll be back, we're due to finish at 6-7 o'clock at night, which means I'll be back, and then the job went into problems, and I'll have to ring up and say, I can't make it, I'm not going to be home tonight. And very difficult for someone who's not in the film industry to understand that. Just say, well, just it's work, just leave, tell them you have to go. It doesn't work like that. So luckily, she understood that, and she's a very independent, capable woman anyway. So, in fact, it was funny. It was harder for me to fit in when I came back from being away, because she would have a routine when our 2 boys were young. She would have this routine down, school and everything, and I'd come back from work and I'm like trying to fit in, and she's like, get out of the way, we've got this all down, so it used to take me a while to sort of reintegrate into the family life. So was it a strain? I don't know. You'd kind of have to ask them, but I don't think so. Frustrating sometimes when we book a family holiday, 2 weeks, say, in somewhere in Europe, and I couldn't go because this big job came in, and it was a lot of money. So Nicola got to take her mum on a holiday instead of me quite a few times. The beauty about working for yourself is I could always say no to the jobs. And I did on many occasions, especially if the jobs were not so much when before we had children. I was a bit more cavalier. I worked in. I was in the Desert Shield, the first Iraq War, so filming there, and yes, I was married to Nicola, but we didn't have any kids. Once we had the children, my attitude changed to putting myself in dangerous situations. So Yeah, there were times when I said no to work, and there were times when we needed the money, or were trying to save for a new car, or there was a big expense coming up, and a job came in, and I just had to do it. So on the whole, I would say it worked out in our favour rather than against us. So you have to weigh things up. Have you got enough money for that? If I've gone away, would I be missing something of the boys? Would I be missing like a sports day or something? A cup final or some sporting event or something in their life, and then you would just kind of weigh up the. But on day, if you were working day to day, it's a lot easier to say no. But if a job comes in which is a 2 or 3 week job, financially that's a lot harder to say no to. I regret I was asked to engineer. So a little bit of background before that. I was asked to shoot a feature film, and it was with a relatively famous cameraman from a Hollywood cameraman. But I was a cameraman at the time, but also coming from an engineering background, I knew a lot about video cameras at the time, and this is when video was taking over from film. And he was asked to photograph this film, director of photography, and he was looking for an engineer to help him keep the look of try and make the video camera cinematic in its look. And I was recommended, and when I went to, we met up and we talked, and he seemed like an okay guy. And the script was okay, and it wasn't too bad, and it was in and around London, which interests me because I could get home of a night. But when the production started, it wasn't good. He was very difficult to work with, and it was just no fun at all. So I regretted and it was horrible. Every day was a nightmare on that thing. So that one I regretted, and then there was somewhere I turned down jobs with producers or directors that I liked, and they went off and came back and heard they had a great time and did some funky things, and so you think, maybe I should have done that, but there you go.
In this podcast, John Sessions told us what life is like to be a cameraman and the struggles he went through. That is all for this podcast.